like sometimes I feel that our people forgot how interethnic we are,
Mm-hmm.
and how, because of Malaysia's way of registering someone on the system, it kind of like just take that cultural identity away because of our names. Like
Yeah.
for example, like I don't know how many percentage of Kadazan I am, but then I have a Chinese face and a Chinese name. So when I want to get to know the indigenous community here, I want to understand the issues that afflict them, or even untuk ngadaw this one. I feel like I'm being cornered, and say like, look, you're not one of us. You kind of don't
Yeah.
have the right to say anything about our cultural annual events.
The thing
You
that
need
I think,
to claim your ethnicity first, then you can say,
I need to show my birth cert that hello, Sino Kanagan.
I'm Kagazan, okay? So I'm allowed to say this. You listen to me.
Okay, what? Okay, my family heritage has Chinese, Kadazan, Baba Nyonya, but then Baba Nyonya is
Oh.
not being registered in there, is it? Can I claim that that's like, ethnicity erasure? That's why I say that I don't identify with either one group. I
Mm-hmm.
identify myself as a Sabahan, and that's it. It's frustrating. Like, everyone has their own views and take on things. If you disagree with it, it's fine, but don't attack.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing, right? It's like, um it's interesting that you mentioned that, because even your Chinese name, like we,
Hmm.
instantly discludes you from being Sabahan, a Sabahan Chinese, because
Yeah.
we is not a surname. We is not a surname from here.
I think everybody on this in this room is like mixed. Like for me myself, I don't know what I am. It says Bugis on my IC, but I don't feel Bugis at all. And people keep saying, "Oh, you don't look are you local?" Like everything.
Like, no,
Sorry.
yeah, you don't look Bugis to me, you know.
Exactly.
I don't even know how
My
Bugis looks like.
mom is from Tawau, so I know a lot of Bugis auntie. Okay. Oh yes, Saf. I can say for sure if you walk past my Bugis auntie, I will say, why the orang putih is here way. That's why they only when they look at you, right, they just see you. Okay, if you're dark skin, then you wear tudung, or
Oh.
there's no, you're gonna be a Chinese. Okay, she's white, and then yeah, she doesn't look like Bumi Putra. Maybe she's from outside. Then dia
Yeah.
mata sepet Chinese. Mm-hmm.
Still ba all this all
Yeah,
these
I was like,
assumptions.
before you make any assumption of my race, you should ask me. I
Macam
will
si
Exactly.
Robert pun gelap. Are you sure you're Chinese? Enggak lah.
Filipino,
Robert, my dad
Filipino.
is darker than you.
instead of properly asking them, we just gonna put them in a box first, and then you need to justify yourself to come out from that box.
Oh.
Yeah, this putting people in a box before asking them, I think it's kind of pissing me off juga lah kan. Sometimes you never know if I can speak Mandarin, right? I might not look like it, but I understand.
You know what's the contrast to this? The contrast to my experience in Semenanjungan is they did not. I don't know whether they already put me in a box before they asked, but they did ask immediately. So what are you? My first year in foundation studies, they at that time I had my glasses, and then that kind of short bangs,
Mm-hmm.
and but then I have my kind of like curly hair. So and then I don't have any Chinese dialect sounding in my English when I speak. So immediately they couldn't put me in the category of what am I. So they asked, what are you? And I said, what do you mean? And then at the back of my head, I was just thinking like, is he asking like am I human or like, I don't get that question. And then they started asking like, no, are you Chinese or are you like mixed Malay or are you
Mm.
where are you from? I said I'm from Sabah. Oh, okay, so you're Sabahan Chinese. Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm Sabahan Chinese.
Mm.
Then only the next thing is like, but you don't sound Chinese. Like you sound like a Hollywood wannabe.
Huh?
And then and
I
then
get that so much. I get that so damn
and then
much.
I was like, what do you mean? I sound Hollywood wannabe. In my school, back then in high school, I have the English speaking circle of friends, and then I have the Mandarin ones, and then the Malay one is also like mix, because uh kebangsaan sekolah. So I didn't even sense that this was microaggression or even direct aggression or even if it's racism because our culture back then before how the politics rots it now, it was not like this before the Sabah that I know.
I mean, I have that sort of experience as well, like finding housing in part
The area.
that area is really difficult because they start asking you, are you Chinese or are you Malay? And
Are you
then
Indian?
yeah, and then for me it's like it's a bit difficult because what am I again? So you say, okay lah, I'm Malay, Muslim, and then yeah, we don't want Muslim because they think that
Yeah, there's a property racism going on here.
yeah, it's like maybe mau masak dia bilang dia takut nanti you get offended ka whatever, but you have to look at the person also lah kan.
For even among Chinese, right? There is definitely a microaggression that happens when you move to KL because um as Nicole pointed out, even your father is dark skinned, right?
Yeah.
In West Malaysia, you don't get that so often. You don't get the dark
Dark
skinned
skin
Chinese.
Chinese,
Yeah.
yeah.
Whereas down here, because of the clans of Hokkiens and Puchaos that moved here, which are largely fishermen, they all get dark skins, right?
But the thing is,
And
my dad is not fully Chinese. His generation, I mean, he and his cousins all have colored eyes.
Hmm?
And
oh,
so his parents, I mean, my grandmother and her siblings, right? The girls are dark skinned, like hitam manis lah. Then the boys are really fair skinned. And they're the side of the family that has the mixed heritage of like Baba Nyonya, Kadazan and all that. So my dad has like you know light light brown eyes. His cousin has green eyes and blue eyes. So and then when we see them we know that they're from a mixed heritage, but because they married Chinese again, and that's why we have more Chinese blood in the end. And it's not like an issue that I have with that, no. It's just for me it's a normal thing in my family because
Mhm.
even okay, let's not talk about race, right? Let's talk about religion. My family, we have the big three religion in it as well. We have the Catholics, the Christians, the Jews, and the Muslims, and we seem to be fine. Like no one is offending anyone. It's okay. Everyone can get along. So this is the kind of thing like when I went to KL, nobody gets. And whenever I say it, or when they asked about it, then I talk about it, right? It seems like a huge surprise. Eh, then it becomes like a subject of curiosity. And I kind of don't like the fact how Sabah became commercialized in the orang Semenanjung eyes, on the fact that different ethnicities from different religion can go into a church or can go into a mosque.
So weird, right?
yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
to
the
our
only the,
norm has suddenly become some of a commercial thing.
Yeah.
but that's my problem with the whole idea of Malaysia, right? Because when you talk about Malaya, all the states they sort of share a cultural like similarity, with the exception of when they other places like Perlis and Kedai, when they other places like Terengganu and Kelantan, right? But in Sabah and Sarawak's case, like we are a complete different ball game, right? Versus what Malaya is like. And so when we talk about the Malaysian sort of like the way we talk about Malaysia, Sabah is reduced to a commodity of like, oh, you got the baju, you got the wakit, you got the, you know, like you got all these things that make you uniquely Sabahan. But as Malaysia, we don't care. You're Malaysian, so by right you should be speaking Bahasa Melayu. By right, your national dish should be nasi lemak. By you know, like the national flower is the what you call this?
Hibiscus.
Hibiscus. None of which was really relevant to any of us down here.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
hibiscus,
like
what?
Sabah Sarawak were the founders of Malaysia, right? But then why do Malaya gets to put the definition into what Malaysia is?
What
Or,
makes Malaysia? Yeah.
yeah, the flowers, the dish, and I mean the flower itself. We have rafflesia, so why shouldn't that be the national flower instead? You
I
know,
would
it's
argue that
a
the refugia is more a national flower than the hibiscus. If you know, or the fact, like for example, um, in terms of national foods, I say laksa is probably more like unique to a Malaysian icon.
more universal in the Malaysian
Yeah,
context. Yeah,
yeah, that's right, that's right. You know,
Sarawak laksa forever.
Kaki naan.
I just wish the portion could be bigger here in KK. You know, it's so hard to get the authentic one. There's only
Yeah.
one place. Yeah. Aside from just nasi lemak, we have so many other choices. Like umai is good, tuhao is good.
Like we only talk about like I really dislike that too, because when I think about the way that Malaysia has damaged the way we talk about culture, right?
Mm.
It's because of this identity that I can never learn about my roots.
You know, to be honest, like I didn't even realize my Indian friend was Indian until I went to Semenanjung. And then like suddenly the race thing became so apparent, you know, like
Yeah.
it
But the
got
funny thing
colored
is,
in Technicolor.
our Indians here, right, are
Mhm.
not necessarily Indians. A lot of them are Sri Lankans, or a lot of them are Sikhs, right? So
Punjabis
or Punjabis, yeah, precisely.
and also kind of like mixed local KDMR or
Mm-hmm.
even Filipinos.
Yep.
Yeah. So I naturally I mean growing up here, I always thought of Indians as being very varied. I never thought of them as the independent, like this is Indian and you can
Yeah,
put
the
everyone
one
into that.
tribe. Yeah.
Yeah. The one tribe Indian, you know, it's like I never knew of that until I went to West Malaysia and they're like Indians.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
Sabah tidak lain KDMR. Yang mesti pakai baju itu saja, yang pinampang saja.
And even then it's not KDMR. I argue that it's just KD because the Murut and the
Kada
Rumus are
sandusan.
severely underrepresented.
They was like, what about us?
I only learned of KDM. I didn't even know there was an R until recently.
Kesiannya. We wear the beads. What?
No, because you know, there's no way to identify the different tribal groups and the subgroups even. I don't
Correct.
even know. Is Sino a subgroup? Can we say Sino is a subgroup?
Yes, we can.
Don't know.
I
See?
okay. Yeah, it's hard to really break it down. I've even had to like there's even a cultural argument against Kadazan's not actually being a subgroup.
Mhm.
Um,
I
because
don't
really
know.
it's just colloquial. It's just colloquial to all the Pinampangites, right?
Yeah. So did you know that's this movement that's trying to call every one of the indigenous tribes, people in Malaysia, in Sabah, Sarawak, Brunei, Indonesia as one, which is Dayak. There's
Isn't that homogenizing? Because like, oversimplification about being a majority here or being a minority there. I'm a
But
minority everywhere I go. Like I don't fit
precisely,
into the Chinese group because like I have
yeah.
too westernized views.
But
Like I
even
don't
then,
share the
when you talk about Chinese groups, lah, right? I mean, whether you talk about any of our groups, being a Chinese down here is not singular with Chinese. There's the Hakka groups, there's the Fuchao groups, there's the Hokkien group.
Mhm.
Like the way Chinese people treat each other down here has never been one Chinese. It's never been like we're open. Chinese are the most racist people.
yeah.
we openly segregate between each other. If you're a Hakka businessman, you're a Fuchao businessman.
So I mean the only indigenous group in Sabah that's being discriminated should have more say, I feel.
Kasihan orang Sendakan, orang Tawau kena lupa.
So I have this one question, right? Because last time I was like when I first touched base with this topic and I was like confused AF. So I have this question. Are the Zulus one of our original indigenous groups, or are they
I-
the ones from south of Philippines?
Memang ada local ba, the Suluk there is a sub-ethnic here, which is the Suluk.
People
Sulu and Suluks,
Suluk,
the one with the K and without K, are they the same or different?
I think, siapa yang boleh tanya ni? Siapa si Neldi kan?
Neldi would be the best resource for that. But the way I understand it is that you don't think of the names of the clans necessarily, but rather think of the heritage of the land. As Sabah is lah. Sabah is sort of like the trading hub for the Indonesian region.
I think for entire Southeast Asia because of Bim Yaga.
Yeah. Well, not as of Bim Yaga, but rather before, like in the olden days, like when as the formation of culture. So because we were owned by different people at different times, whether it was Brunei or the Philippines or Indonesia before that, right? So Sabah would have been like the meeting ground for a lot of these cultures because we are the landmass of Borneo, right?
But I have Suluk blood too, so just saying.
My mom punya adopted mother is Suluk. Adopted lah kan. My nenek lah basically. She's a Suluk in Tawau lah. Yang I know my granddad from Brunei came here, and then my nenek is already here. She's Suluk lah. I think some of them is here but already. I mean some of them.
Yeah.
That's why we get the Iranuns, which are traditionally the pirates. We get the Suluks, which are traditionally the people who were from Sulu, the Sultanate of Sulu, and then you get the Bruneians, which include the Sungai people, and you include like some of the other Malay descended the Melayu lah, basically, and then you get like the different cuts of the Dusun, the Murut, and the Rumus, depending on which side of the people you go to lah. But that's essentially how we ended up with so many mixtures, because like when the Sultanate moved here, there's a small township here, there's a small representation here, and everyone just conglomerated around this area.
Yeah, but calling yourself Suluk is like a macam it's sort of like an insult to call.
Term.
Yeah, budak Suluk to. It sounds like it's such a bad thing. Your culture is something unacceptable to others.
And also dia macam if you call, sometimes I think as I remember, if you call that person Sulukan, dia macam mengorang luarkan dia.
Yeah.
You are outsider.
You don't belong here. Yeah.
They other them. Yeah.
The othering.
Why are the Suluks having such a bad reputation locally? Does this come from the bombing riot back in 1970s or 1980s?
That I think contributes to the hatred of the Suluks. But
Plus the
they,
claim lagi kan.
but I think it's deeper than that. Simply because the Suluks they don't believe that the Suluks are Sabahan.
Mm.
I mean, as in a sense, like the Suluks are basically Filipinos.
Farhana should be in this conversation, you know.
Itulah Asia ruin our plans.
Yesh, kacau ni Asia ni.
Yeah, but then other than suluk, there's I think banyak bah. Maybe suluk ni, maybe we can look at it macam how people say keling, how say this apa tu, apa ni orang asli punya,
they don't say suluk,
takai.
they say pilak kan,
Kan?
tapi itu Filipin. Ya, kena panggil pilak.
Yeah.
And
We,
Sakai.
I ever once
Ya.
I said pilak, then my dad said, sebab my dad is Pajau. Dad
Your
cakap pilak tu is actually, pilak is money. He said, why
Yeah.
you call him pilak? He said, pilak is actually money. I said,
Perak.
And I was like, okay. Then we stopped using the word lah.
I don't even know where that word came from, but I heard it since young. And really, it's how it was a term used a lot to describe the illegal immigrants.
Illegal, especially if they come from Philippines lah.
Yeah, I mean, that is such a misconception, right? If you look at the country as a whole, Philippines is doing so much more better than
I know,
Malaysia.
right?
Yeah,
Even
in terms
Indonesia.
of GDP and FDI, and even in the creative and the communication industry, right? They're thriving. They're
Mhm.
making more.
miles ahead of us.
Yeah, they're making so much more than Malaysia's corporate places would ever dream of. You know, they're doing even better than they can compete next to Singapore.